Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm Marco Mahel, I'm the owner of Uncle Bobbie's, and I am excited for tonight's book talk. As you know, every week we do book talks with authors who we think have something to say, who have a voice that we need to hear from, and who have ideas that can help us reimagine ourselves, reimagine the world, reimagine the possibilities for the future. And when I got a note that this book was coming out, We Speak for Ourselves, I was geeked. I read the description of the book, and I was like, this sounds good, but I don't know if he could pull it off. Then I saw it was you. 'Cause I didn't read the author first. I just read it. I was like, oh, he got this. And then when I saw the content, I was like, yo, this book is something different than other books of his genre. So I couldn't be more excited to have D. Watkins here. Could we give him some love? Give him a round of applause.
Can I read something real quick?
Yeah, please.
Don't make it out, make it better. I can't wait to make it up out of here. I hate it around here, Bug said, nursing a half cup of Hennessy. It's nothing out here but death. Death is the only thing on the menu. Death and these dope fiends. I filled my cup and listened. We were sitting on Ashland Avenue in East Baltimore. It was a beautiful 75-degree winter day. The sun dipped into the clouds and kids ripped and ran in every direction. Being around here just make you worthless. You're just worthless, he said. Like, I probably won't even ever visit once I make it out of here. Bud was about to start truck driving school. When he finished, he figured he can get a good paying job, leave East Baltimore, and move into one of those cookie cutter soccer mom neighborhoods in the burbs with Best Buys and Targets across the street. They killed Bo, they killed Bip, Rellis did, they killed Dunk, they killed Rap, Wisers did, Rip Little, they killed Ronnie, they killed Kev, they killed Dre. I hate Baltimore. We like the only people left. As kids, we are told to make it out. The hood is basically the worst place in the world, responsible for all of the trauma and pain that comes with being black. We aren't taught about the systems that create that pain, the racist cops, sellouts, tax-based schools whose funding is directly connected to the jobs that don't hire us, and how those things contribute to the trauma that only guys like us can comprehend. Jay's dead, Seti's gone, we lost Nod, they killed Ro, he said. He took a slow sip. Remember Justin? How they killed Justin? Manny's dead, they killed Turbo, Rip Cheese, Donna's dead, Todd, Smooth, Tika, Tater, Man, Bill, they killed Twizzle, they killed Buff. We sat and we reminisced to ourselves. I felt this pain. It was mine too. The coolest, flyest, and funniest dudes are all gone. A lot of us 30-somethings from East Baltimore walking around without any peers. We really lost whole sets of people. I know you feel me, he said, looking in my direction. I know you feel me. I hear you, but I don't feel you, I replied. I tried to explain to him that we needed guys like us around when we were coming up. At the time I was in college and he was learning a trade, but we both almost lost our lives multiple times. What if more professional dudes were present in our neighborhood, telling us not to hustle and showing us how to make legal money? Would our section of the city be that bad? We have to be those guys. We have to be the people that we didn't have. I didn't know that I ended up being a professor and a journalist or working in television. Many people thought that success would drag me out of my neighborhood, but instead it gave me more of a reason to be in East Baltimore. Now the young people can see, work with, and interact with me, and then these professions can become their reality as well. They know killers and dealers, but now they know scholars and world travelers too. I used to think the idea was to leave, I told them. But now I'm thinking we need to buy it, fix our schools, fix our own communities, live in our own communities, and be present instead of sticking out like a sore thumb in someone else's. I ain't never leaving. Man, you crazy, he said. We agreed to disagree, but it was all love all the time. Bud made it halfway through truck driver school before he was murdered a block away from when we had that conversation. I wish someone was around to guide the young dude who pulled the trigger. If there had been, Bug and a lot of other good dudes would still be here. And for that reason, I'll always work, support, fund, and be accessible in Baltimore City. Success for me isn't making it out, it's making it better.
I mean, what you just read is actually one of the most compelling parts of the book for me, because it's the DNA of the book, right? Which is one, capturing a voice that we don't get telling the truth that people don't always understand, and still somehow remaining hopeful and optimistic against the backdrop of all that death and misery.
Yeah, you have to be. You have to be.
So talk to me first about who Forgotten Black America is.
So for me, you know, a lot of these worlds, like some of my biggest teachers have been people like you, Dyson, Cornel West, but it all came to me late. Like it all came, like all this whole like understanding of all of this stuff came to me when around the time Barack Obama was running for president. So like one day, you know, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I enrolled back in college. I'm out of the street. I'm trying to, you know, I'm buying khakis. So you know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to clean myself up because I'm inspired by this dude. Like you can walk through my neighborhood and like you would see like the dude on drugs fussing with the drug dealer about Hillary and her super delegates. And I'm like, damn, yo, what's a super delegate? Like, are they bigger than regular delegates? Like, I never heard these terms before. So like, so I was inspired by all of that, and I'm like, I'm learning, and I'm reading, and I'm picking stuff apart, and I'm finding my own voice, and then I got into this, you know, I fell into a career, and I got into writing, and I started going some places, and I went a lot of these different places, and something that was like common is like, you know, there's a lot of people who are talking about these issues. There's a lot of people who have, you know, a lot of solutions, but I feel like that direct service piece is missing, and that's who Forgotten Black America is. Everybody in the, I'm sorry, I might sound from Baltimore City like 1,000 times a night. I'm sorry, it's like worse than people from Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying? but everybody in the world was screaming, rip Freddie Gray. That's so sad what happened to Freddie Gray. I feel so bad for Freddie Gray, but it's like when Freddie Gray was alive, none of y'all was pulling up. Nobody was helping that man complete a resume. Nobody was talking about how the war on drugs was ruining his life. Nobody was talking about how all them companies who give you settlements for lead paint was ripping his family off and taking their money. Nobody was talking about everything that dude was facing every day. It's like we all have professions and skill sets and ideas and things that we can do to help these people, but we walking, you know, people are walking right past them, but then when they die, it's like, yo, here's the hashtag, and that's who the forgotten piece is to me. So, you know, what you doing with this store, where I see people, you know, I got some people in Oakland that's doing their thing, and it's a lot of good stuff going on in Baltimore, and it's people that's direct service, that's interacting with the people and helping them get the things that they need to survive and function, and it just needs to be highlighted more.
Yeah. Awesome. The direct service piece is interesting because sometimes the people who we think know the most about Black people and who have given the most resources to talk either about Black people or on behalf of Black people, from your book, I get the sense, don't necessarily know the people who direct service people contact with. So it's like the book opens up with this whole conversation about with the what's his name, Danny Glover looking cat.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a way that at this party, and I feel just at a place of party as you do. You know what I mean? This person, especially at the beginning, where suddenly you're invisible to him because you're not connected to these Watkins or those Watkins, or because you don't have a thing that they can easily hold on to. You're like suddenly become invisible to him. How much of a footprint do they take up in Black American life?
In my experience, it's kind of like a split. It's like in certain spaces that like I probably my friend was friends with somebody who was like plugged. You know what I'm saying? So it's like regular me, I'm never getting into that space. I can't get into that space. Right. My fiance has this saying where she's like, this is how you know, I saw how somebody treated regular. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Like this, I spoke to this lady. I was like, hey, how you doing? And she looked like, what? And I was like, oh, my bad. And then the lights came on in like movie theater, and she saw it was me. It's like, oh my God, how you doing? Yada. So
I know that story.
You know, so you know, me as a regular guy walking up and down the street, I don't really have access to those spaces. So it's like, it's brand new to me. Like it's still new. I'm still figuring it out. Like my homie MK from Philly was like the first one who told me about the Boule, and this was maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. So it's not like I didn't, you know, and I'm 39 years old. I'm not like, you know, 18. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been out here for a long time, but it never came across my radar. And I do think that there's this Black experience in this country, like a gray area that we all share, because I do feel like some people who are affluent or who do their thing, like they got love, but I think sometimes it's just love is an action word. You know what I'm saying? And it gets lost in conversations or like dreamy ideas you have, and then we're not getting what we need.
Yeah. And so let's talk about that half that gets erased, that gets at least erased by the media in places like that, or misrepresented. What are some
like 75%?
Right. What are some things that what are we missing? Because what you do, really much like a sociologist or an anthropologist, is you take us on the ground, you introduce us to faces and voices and ways of being in the world that we don't normally get. In Baltimore in particular, what are we not seeing? What are we not getting?
So one thing for me that's missing is this whole humanity piece. Like, regardless of where you come from, like most people, like at the core, want the same things. And a lot of times, if a person, you look at the news and they be like, oh my God, this guy, he shot up this, or he did this, or she did that. And you're like, yo, this person's crazy. That's not me. That's not a representation of me. And maybe it's not, because but we don't know what put that guy in that situation. So it kind of becomes like an us versus them thing. But at the core, regardless of who that guy is and what he's been through or what he's done, at some point, that dude wanted to be loved or experience love. That dude wanted some type of opportunity. That dude wanted to make his family proud. That dude got happy at the restaurant when the appetizer came out. You know what I'm saying? So that dude is like, he's like everybody else, but then certain situations happen that put him on a different path. And I think we don't see that. And we don't, like, we're not seeing each other. And the way the world is set up and scheduled, we're never in the same spaces to even see or interact with that human side. So, people always feel different when they find out, like, all right, so this person sold drugs, they got 20, 30 years, you write them off. But then when you find out this guy loved his daughter, he loved his wife, he had a family, he writes him letters, they make him, like, then you start to look at it and you're like, oh, okay, this guy is, he or she, they're people. And I just feel like we're not doing a good enough job of seeing people and understanding people. Like, I can tweet Flint doesn't have clean water all day long, but when you sit here and process the idea that it's people who live in this country, is supposed to be the most powerful country in the world, drinking poison, that's crazy. Right. I can sit here and say the school's messed up, but when you sit here and be like, yo, it's kids right now rubbing their hands together so they can dip in their pocket and pull a pen out and take notes in math class, and then putting their hands back in their pockets because it's freezing. These are real things. Mm-hmm. And as there's people in power who don't really have that experience or didn't have that experience, these administrators are sitting in some of these school boards and they're totally okay with it because it's not us, it's them. You know what I mean? It's not we, it's them. So
there's the question of not knowing, right?
Uh-huh.
But then there's also the question of knowing and still reckon. So there's the question of knowing, then there's the question of knowing and not caring, right? The people will be like, fuck them, right? Mm-hmm. Then there's the people who know and say they care, particularly liberals, right?
Yeah.
But then they somehow still manage to sleep at night knowing those kids are rubbing their hands together. Like, what happens in the world, and you talk about this in the book a little bit, particularly around mass incarceration in prison, what happens in a world where people can go to bed knowing that, or feeling like those kids over there don't need good schools, or those kids I can sleep at night. Like, if their kids didn't have to eat in the building for one day, they'd be going nuts.
Right. I can easily say they don't care. I don't think they care. I think it's crazy. I can't remember where I read this at, but it was like Taylor Branch. Taylor Branch. Yeah. He said Republicans and Democrats are the same thing, except Democrats sell access and Republicans sell control. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's game. Like, so, like, you miss me with the brooch and the Birkenstocks and the I really, really love, like, what are you trying to do? How can I point you into, where we can make this happen at? Is it going to be something quantifiable, something that can help? Or is I don't got a hand, and you, in this business, they'll find you. Oh my God, did you hear Mark speak? You know what I'm saying? Like, they will find you, and they will, like, and it becomes like a game for them. So, sometimes they clout chasing. Sometimes they want to be seen with the person who speaks on these issues in a way that's powerful and provocative. A lot of them, they think I'm more edgy because I've got one suit. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like they with me, so they get like some points. And I was, I would like to say that, like, if you speaking about it, if you want to be around it, if you run a nonprofit where every time you get $100,000, you spend $95,000 on your salaries and $5,000 on applesauce and backpacks, you probably don't give a fuck. And I can say that. I can say that and be comfortable because they don't fund me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I can say that. Like, sometimes I know some artists who are like around, different cities who are like funded by these liberal, and they gotta walk the line in what they say. But I'm not walking no line. Like, it is what it is. And again, it always goes back to, who I can reach out to, who can reach out to me, who can I check up on, who can I really help learn how to fish. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's the core things. You need basic things. You need to be able to put food on the table, roof over your head. You need to be able to do it in a way that's legal. It's not going to jeopardize your freedom. That's going to, be productive and help you gain and grow into something different. Like, people want basic things, and I think there's a lot of talented people, a lot of skilled people, a lot of people who have had some success that's capable of helping our young people or our people who are struggling, trying to figure out how to get to that. And then there's like the other part of like, what now we get to that, or we work towards that. What are we collectively doing to try to build so that it can be community? You know what I'm saying? But it's not a day of service, and it's not like a weekend project. This is slavery only been over for like 150 years, dog. So it's like we still digging from the bottom to get to that. And we in the time of instant cash, like, instant gratification. People ain't trying to wait. Like, we trying to get the store. What you already back? I got the plan. We gonna get it together. Yada yada yada. When is it gonna open? Like, 2025, 2030. What? 2025, 2030.
Right.
And it don't work like that. We gotta, we gotta put the work in.
So talk to me about those people who make decisions about not doing the work with us, for us, not supporting the vulnerable. And one of my, I made a note here or something. Oh yeah. So this idea of whether or not people are racist, right? Because I'll just say, not only do they not care, but they're racist. Mm-hmm. Even people who don't actively have a racist mindset in the sense of like black people are inferior to white people, mm-hmm. in terms of how they engage us, how they treat us, what they vote for, what they don't, what they fund, what they don't. How do we have a conversation about racism that's nuanced, that identifies the difference maybe between a Donald Trump and that person with the Birkenstocks?
So, Dr. Kendi Ibram X made me rethink it. Like, he made me rethink it. When I read Stanton, if y'all haven't read Stanton from the beginning, it should be in the collection. It's official. But he made me rethink it because, the old way I used to say it is like, this person's racist. Like, fuck them. I'm not even gonna waste my time. But the new way I see it is, it didn't really hit me until, I don't know if you're talking about the part where I was in Fort Myers, Florida.
Yep.
I was in Fort Myers, Florida at a book festival, and I get out the airplane, and I see real Trump hats, and I say, what the hell? So I called my publicist. I'm like, Linda, like, what type? What? Like,
where you got me at?
And she was like, she's like, be yourself. Like, they gonna like you. They'll like you. You know what I mean? You good? You know what I'm saying? So now I go to the hotel, boom, check in. It's like a little, whatever, Florida town, it's whatever, and I walk across the street to the festival, and now there's more Trump hats, and I'm like, damn, like, they really out here. So we went right to Google, like, Fort Myers didn't go for Trump, whatever percent, surrounded by whatever, Start looking it up, and my event came up, and again, I had an event with a person that probably didn't have a lot of contact with black people. They was like, hey, you're gonna be with Taya Kyle. All right, bet. Who is that? And he was like, you ever see American Sniper? Nah, what's that? So I'm not, right. I don't know, you know what I mean? There's a movie with Bradley Cooper, shoots people. All right, bet. Who's that? Dude from Hangover. Oh, okay, I know him. You know what I mean?
I know Hangover.
So
that's a movie with Mike Tyson.
Yeah, that would be an ill game if they just gave you white stuff and you had to trace it back to the black affiliation.
Right. That might be our next thing.
The whole logic behind it was like, you dealt with a lot of death in your life, and she lost her husband, so y'all get along. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, I don't know nothing about her, but I look her up or whatever. And, long story short, she's on Fox News. She's, you know what I'm saying, like, was supporting Rick Perry, all shit that's like, in a way that's like, super, super far right. And, I'm me. So, when I met her, like, I don't know the whole story, but I know that exchange was like, okay, you probably haven't had a whole lot of experiences with a person like me, but at the same time, like, it seems like, you know, you're open to having this conversation and you agreed to do this panel. Yeah, and the people who came, and they only did it because I didn't have a crowd out there. I would have been sitting on that stage by myself. You know what I'm saying? She came, is so many, like, people with American flag sweatsuits on and Make America hats and little kids running around with little flags around their face. So it's like that was her crowd. That wasn't, you know, big military crowd. It really wasn't my crowd. And some people who I hung around and talked to at that event, I was like, yo, some of these people, like they just, like, I don't know how to say this in the most appropriate way. They just stupid. You know what I'm saying? So
that's right. That's right.
You tell them stuff and they just listen to it. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You tell them because they don't have any interactions with nothing. Like, they would walk through North Philly, or they'd come. You know, it would be mind blowing to them because they never see it. Like, they never ever see it. And the one black guy that was there was like he was like some type of cop security guard at the festival with like a big woven belt clip, and you know, and he just kept asking Taya Kyle, was she okay? I mean, a big woven gun clip, like a big woven holster, like somebody handmade it for like maybe like a holiday, like a gift from like somebody's family. And he just kept, and as we like riding over on a little van, these book festivals, little vans, he just keep asking and looking at me, are you okay, Miss Kyle? Are you okay? Like, he reaching. I'm like, yo, that's like, come on, dog. Like, you see who I'm with? Like, what? Like, you know what I mean? So again, all of these people are people who don't have these types of experiences, and they're not coming across black people. And the connection for me is, my life, I really just started meeting white people like 4 years ago. Baltimore's an extremely segregated city. You know, there's a neighborhood in Baltimore called Roland Park that was actually the first neighborhood in this country that was made strictly for white people. So in Baltimore, everybody in your school is black. If you go to church, your church is probably gonna be all black. The only white people you're gonna really come across, like, coming up in the city, in certain parts of East Baltimore, West Baltimore, and like South Baltimore and Cherry Hill, is school teachers, you know, and like housing police or police officers, or like you know, like that. All of the people who own stores are either gonna be black, or they're gonna be like of some Asian descent. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you don't have any white peers. You don't have white peers.
That's something in Philadelphia.
Yeah, so it's like that in Philly. Yeah, you don't have any white peers. So the first time I stepped foot on the college campus, you know, with that had white people there, like, I wasn't used to, like, everybody was like, they was like in a band and they was playing ukuleles, and you know what I'm saying? Like, you walking across campus and you saying, like, they look, you know, people don't say hello, they just like, yeah. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, what is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of saying, you know what I'm saying, like, hey, what's up, bro? They be like, and then they keep it moving. So all of these things are like, so that's my connection, is like, I never had that experience until I actually had it. So, and this is what I did. I didn't like adapt to that culture and try to like be with these people and understand them. And I didn't join the band. I dropped out and went back on my block. Like, I'm home. You know what I'm saying? But like, we, you know, cause this country is 2019, and you know, the time I'm talking about is like 2000, 1999. So this country is still extremely segregated, and you're not having experiences with different types of people. So whatever they say on Fox News, boom, that's black people. Whatever Rush Limbaugh say, boom, that's black people. Whatever silly, goofy president, that clown say, boom, that's, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's it. Like, that's their content.
So then there's this moment where people want to understand black people. Or they want to raise a legitimate challenge or question about the world, or vice versa. Intellectual curiosity, maybe, or just racist, right?
Yeah.
I'm racist dichotomy because the book does, right? This question of, you know, intellectually curious or racist, because sometimes this becomes a challenge, and I'm asking that because now that you have more experience dealing with white people, meeting white people, and dealing with people across the aisle, and as you start talking about these issues like you do in the book of poverty, mass incarceration, unemployment, people start to say, yeah, but maybe black people don't work, or you grew up in Baltimore, I'm sure you know some crack mothers. You know, right? And so you start having these conversations, but then part of you might be like, well, yeah, I kind of do, and I do know some lazy niggas. So, like, how do I make sense of these conversations about responsibility, about hard work, against the backdrop of these structural problems that you highlight in the book, in an honest and real way?
So the realest way to answer that conversation is, and I really have this conversation, and I reference a book called The Long Shadow a lot because they follow 40 poor white families and 40 poor black families for about 20 years. And the results were just, like these white families use more drugs, abuse more alcohol. As a white person with some felonies, you have a better chance of getting a job as a black person with no felonies at some college. Like everything in the system is structured for them to win. So I tell them like, yo, actually, there's a lot of crack white mothers. I can find them for you. I know exactly where they at. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of lazy white people. I can find them for you. And then it makes the conversation bigger into lazy and crack is not a black thing. Lazy and crack is a lazy crack thing. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? So it's like you get more chances. You get more chances when you wearing their skin versus when you wearing ours. And that's the game. So when I'm talking to them, I'm letting them know about they shit that they don't know because it's not broadcasted like our stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I said that book made me rethink it because I was reading when I was reading a book, he was saying something about he was talking about how it's more dangerous to drive in the white suburbs on the beltway than it is, you got more of a chance of being hit by a white man who's drinking and driving than you do by being shot by a black guy in a low-income neighborhood.
All day.
And but it's not, but you don't promote it like, yo, this is an epidemic that is killing people in this country at an astounding rate. Nobody's on TV fussing about, yo, we need to alcohol reform, we need to do this, we need to do that. These people are crazy, these people are out of control, these people are destructive, they're killing their own people. We're not doing that. We're sitting back and we're just like, yeah, Chicago got a problem. Baltimore got a problem, and you hear it, and you hear it, and you hear it, and you hear it, and then you start to thinking. So there's what's out there, and then there's the actual truth. And when we acknowledge the problems that exist in not just our communities but other communities too, one, it shows us that we're not what they're trying to paint us out to be. Two, it definitely highlights the negative things that they do so that they can know that they're not perfect, and then we can all think about how we can figure out how to our way out of this, which is also, it's a lot of work. Like I was in DC on the other day on Tuesday, and the dude was talking about if I'm the little bit of money I'm making, I'm gonna invest it in another neighborhood. I don't want to go back there. And I was telling him yo, I never said that, I'm not the person to tell you what to do with your money. I'm just saying, beyond, okay, so you can't buy a hospital. You can't start a hospital. You know what I mean? You can't buy the block. You can still be that person you had coming up. You can still pull up on somebody. You can still, if that's what you care about. Right. You also, that's an option. That's an American option too.
That's a distinctly American option.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? So, but I got two more questions for you now. I want to take some questions from you all. One is kind of not so much a question, but a sort of analysis. The book cuts across. What I like about the book is that there's not like a prison. Well, there kind of is, but there's not like a. The book cuts across a lot of issues. You can't talk about selling drugs or without talking about the crisis of mass incarceration and the crisis of employment and the crisis of all these other things. You don't have simplistic analyses of all of them. But there do seem to be some things that stick out throughout the book. One is around employment access. One is around mass incarceration. How are you thinking about these issues? What do you see as the most prominent issues we face at the core? I'm not just talking about drugs, poverty, but at the core, what do you think are big challenges and what gets us here?
I think our big challenge, and again, when I say I'm not trying to act like I'm a person that understands everybody's life, but what I see is, and this is when I wake up and I walk out my front door, we walk out the back door, but when I wake up and walk out the back,
that's some Baltimore shit too.
I walk out the back door, I see a world of people that they don't really get the opportunity to experience this. I see a bunch of black people who are all even first generation American citizens or potential first generation American citizens, because they're not being educated the way other people in this country are being educated. They're not being policed by other people the way other people in this country are being policed. They're just not having the same experience. So and this is like an example. I'm friends with a bunch of teachers because I go to a bunch of high schools, You know, we do like writing workshops. Sometimes we just do visits. You know, we always try to make sure we donate books or help get books to the schools. When I did this book with Simon & Schuster, we negotiated to give away 1,000 books in our contract just because the kids in Baltimore City read them. You know what I'm saying? And they get to keep them, and they get to build their own libraries. So,
which is so important.
I didn't have a library growing up. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't part of my experience. So, what I see as the major problem is that if I'm born a certain way in this country, then I can just run around the track and I can collect my success and I can get to the finish line. I can be good. But if I'm born another way in this country, there's that healthcare hurdle. I got to figure out how to jump over that. There's that mass incarceration hurdle. I got to jump over that. There's the education hurdle. I got to jump over that. There's that, am I just a big black fucking scary nigga hurdle? I got to jump over that shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's a hard one to jump over.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, you can be big and black and only be like 4'2". So I'm saying like, there's all these different, and so the biggest issue is not, I don't see one thing. I'm saying that to be a black person and you in media, academia, you gotta be the shit. Like you gotta be the shit. Like it's almost, it's like Hunger Games for niggas. Like you really gotta be out here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Ellen up, choking up Ta-Nehisi Coates and shit to get tenure. You know what I mean? So they really be geeking, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of academics that would do that too, but anyway.
So it's like it becomes like you gotta work, you gotta be like 20 times as better, or you gotta be ready to get less. You gotta know that if you spend 20 and you get back a pound of apples, you know that your pound of apples is gonna have to feed 1,000 people. You know, another person is spending 20 on a pound of apples and they just eat themselves. And I was talking to, so I'm friends with a lot of teachers, and one of my friends is a teacher, and she was just talking about her job, and I was just listening, and it's like, yo, okay, you gotta help feed these kids, you gotta be their mentor, you gotta guide them, you gotta take them out on the weekend, you know what I'm saying? Right. Some teachers get to just teach, do their lesson plan, and go home. Teachers like, yo, school's out at 3 o'clock, lesson plan done by 4, happy hour, you know what I mean? Right. That's somebody's reality. Some of these teachers, some of these places, they gotta do so much. Like you turn in a job that should be like 40-some hours a week to a job that's like 80 hours a week. That's crazy. So even if you are that, if you're doing that and you got that much love in your heart, you still not getting the proper rest that you need. You still underpaid and you still not able to give them kids the best because you gotta do so much. Right. You can't give them the best. You trying to give them the best because you trying to make up for 8 other voids. And that's the experience that we have. So that's my biggest hurdle is that, my biggest issue, or what I see as the biggest problem is that we have to do so much, to acquire so little, and it translates, like it breaks down into everything from like property value in black neighborhoods, life expectancy in black zip code, like it's everything. It's an accumulation of everything. So, how do you get through that? 1, you acknowledge it. 2, we teach it. 3, we strategize and plan around it. 4, when we make something, we collectively build. We got to figure that piece out. We have to figure that piece out. It's a journey, but I believe in us. I think we can do it.
The one thing that's clear is that you believe in us. The beauty of this book also is that it's the tone of it. It's serious. It's haunting at times, it's arresting at times, it's also funny as hell. You know what I mean? And that's what it means to be black. You know what I mean? Even in the midst of pain, you still laugh and make, you know what I mean? And trying to make sense of the world in ways that keep you sane and whole all the time. And then that's your gift as a writer. One of the things you said that stuck with me was that we have to take time and invest and spread love. And then you say in the book, we have to do so strategically. What does it mean to spread love and invest in us strategically?
The main way is lift as you climb, but then also teach lift as you climb as you lift as you climb. We gotta lift as we climb, but then we gotta say, all right, bet. So now that you're doing your thing, now you making something shape, you making it happen. And we kind of did this. So yesterday, I had my launch event in my hometown, and one of my mentees was like, "Yo, let me introduce you." And I'm like, "All right, bet," because it was supposed to be like this lady that like she runs like the Enoch Pratt Library like all through the city, so she was supposed to do it. And I read what you read at Union Baptist.
Yep. So that was a good time.
Yeah, Pastor Hathaway, that's my guy. So So, but I was like, nah, okay, well she can say something for the library, but I'm gonna let the little homie introduce me. And then I had the idea, I'm like, yo, well he's been working with this kid, and this kid is he's from West Baltimore. He has a story. You know, it's like that's another thing. We gotta have a story. So he has a story, right? And he just got like a scholarship accepted into all of these big schools coming out of Baltimore City, going to like being able to get into NYU and UCLA is big. Like it's really big. It's like that half court shot because people are not really making it. And he's been mentoring him and helping him with his career as a writer and helping him make decisions as he tries to develop into being a young actor. So he came out and I'm like, yo, this is it. This is what it is. This is how you pass the torch, but you teaching people that already bet. Now that, you know what I mean? It's like in the tradition of Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass. Like, you know, Harriet Tubman was free. She went back and got motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Harriet Tubman could have been in Canada, you know what I mean, eating collard greens, chilling, right? But she went back and got people. You know, Frederick Douglass was free. Frederick Douglass wanted to free other people. We got, you know, we and some of us are a part of that. Some of us are not a part of that tradition. Some of us are like, yo, I got mine. Fuck y'all. You know what I'm saying? Right. But you know, I don't choose to spend my time and energy trying to blow up and highlight and take shots at people that's phony or faking. Like people was like, are you against this group or that group? I'm like, man, it's cool. But ever anybody does to kill their time, that's their own business because I have to do stuff. Like I have to do stuff. So if you're in the tradition of Harriet Tubman, if you're in the tradition of Frederick Douglass, then you're trying to go back and get people and you want to like put the battery in their back so they can do something similar. And that's how we come up. And then we also understand that that's a lot of work and it might not even happen in this lifetime, but it doesn't make us exempt from doing it.
That's it.
We got to do it.
That's it. Questions from you all?
I guess. So you mentioned about strategizing and building, right? So like that's the process. But what is like I guess that mountaintop? Like what does that look like? Like what does it look like to have that perfect, I guess, lifestyle or being of the forgotten Black Americans? If that makes sense.
So I think it can be a number of things. It can be us being, and this is, I'm not, like I said, the stuff I'm talking about can take a long time, but right. It could be us like having like our own news network as powerful as the news that we consume. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It can be us like, you know, there's so many like talented Black commentators and Black writers and Black camera, you know what I mean? And we got to shuffle around and move throughout their industries. It could be us like having our own, you know, a place like Philly or a place like Baltimore or even like Atlanta being like the mecca of Black Hollywood. You know what I mean? It could be us funding films and putting out crazy creative content and showing the diversity that exists within this race. You know, because like, you know, people be thinking like, I talk to people and I be like, yo, when I was coming up, it was dudes that hooped and there was dudes that sold drugs. But I had friends that was into like comic books, Pokemon and all them. You know what I'm talking about? So Dragon Ball Z, you know, this guy, like, they was into that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, I'm not really down with it, but you know what I'm talking about? Like, so we as complex and as creative and as genius as any other group of people. So, you know, it looks like that. A car company, you know what I'm saying? Like a car company. Like, I like what Jerry Lorenzo, Fair God dude, and Virgil and Off-White, they doing with clothes. They expensive as hell, but like they getting their stuff out there and they creating and they building and they taking that aesthetic and they using the big brands to get fun, but they build it. Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace, that's what it looks like. It looks like a person who was hustling in a lot, to selling CDs and a lot, to buying it, to give like, I think everybody in that store was like returning citizens, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So like, it looks like that. And again, one of the things I think, you know, if we're just like looking at this is, what are you passionate about? What do you really care about? And then how do we get in the industry? How do we get in the industry? And it's, you know, it's one thing to have a conversation by Black and this, that, and the third. It's another thing to like to live it. You know, how do you live it? And well, how do you constantly promote and help people, you know, to do it? And like, again, it's not like I ain't the type of dude, like if me and you gonna build something, I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's easy. I'm not gonna act like I can do like Killer Mike did in a show and buy all Black for like You know what I'm saying? What he did it for like a week or something. Yeah, like I'm not gonna act like this. You know, but I'm saying these are things that we can think about. These are things that we can start instilling in our children. These are things that we can start working towards in our own lives.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing your story. Two things. One, when you talk about your image or fitting in I guess mainstream, I appreciate that you're who you are, because it took me a long time to get to that point. You know, like switch codes or whatever they call it, you know, going back and forth. But it is hard being perceived as the angry black woman. But I appreciate you sharing that. But, you know, you talk about, you know, all the things that we can do as black people, and I completely agree with what you're saying. Do you ever get to a point where it's overwhelming? Because you know how you have so much passion and you want to do so many things, and where do you start? Where do you end? And it's so much work to do. And, you know, it gets to a point, you know, sometimes you get so overwhelmed, you get stagnant. And how do you get over that?
Yeah, I had to learn that when you lost, every direction is right. You know what I'm saying? So you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere, and you won't always get it right. And it's okay. You know, it's totally okay. Like people don't really understand that. Like, you know, something as simple as helping somebody learn how to tie a tie. It could be life changing. Or listening to somebody when they telling you they had a bad day could be life changing. Or giving them a ride to work until they can figure out a way to get there on their own. Like little stuff like that goes a long way. And sometimes it might blow up in your face, and that don't mean quit. Like I used to, I ain't gonna say a mentor, but there was this kid I used to teach at this school called Friendship Academy, right? It was a high school, and the kid, he was a bad kid, and everybody in the school was happy that he graduated because they thought he was going to be one of the ones that just didn't make it, but he graduated, right? So, and this is like what a person who cares or who wants to do something should be doing, in my opinion. So, one day I'm driving down the street and I see the kid. He's on the corner looking all like stressed out and distraught. And I'm like, yo, what's up? And he's like, yo, somebody trying to kill me. I messed up this dude money, this, that, and the third. And I said, all right, well, get in the car. So he got in the car. And I said, well, you guys see where you can go at? And he was like, yo, I think I can go over my grandmother's house. So I'm like, all right, bet. Took him to his house, got some clothes, took him to whatever Target, whatever store, bought some toiletries, little mouthwash and all that. Took him over his grandmother's house. She let him in there. He called me the next day. He said, yo, thanks. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I want to be in college. I want to go to college like you. I said, all right, bet. I'm gonna come get you. So I took him up Coppin State University the next day. He didn't have an ID, so I had to go to one of the motor vehicles like 4 times to get paperwork and all that. But we got an ID, and he couldn't go to Coppin because he didn't have an SAT. So I took him to the community college in Baltimore City, and we sitting in the office and we doing the paperwork and we laughing and joking and you know and with the people in the office and the 2 ladies behind the desk, they liked him. They gave him a laptop. You about to turn your life around. Here's a laptop. Boom. Then the place where I was going to college at was hiring, and I knew the manager because I was in grad school and I used to go get drunk there all the time. And the manager's like, I need somebody to run dishes up and down the steps. And I bought the kid, you know, my little man. So now you living in your grandmother's house rent free. You got a bunch of toiletries, a laptop, right? And potentially a job. American dream for a little kid coming out of high school with no direction. He didn't do none of it. I seen a dude from the restaurant, your boy never showed up, right? I went around his grandmother's house, he left. I called the number I had, and this is like so first, you know, I thought he was on his way, and I bumped into him in the restaurant, but I ain't paying no mind, because I was trying to write my first book. I'm trying to get this book out, right? I was trying to get the cook-up done, and I was. So I didn't think I was going to see him like that, and I didn't. And then when the dude was like, yo, what's up with your boy, man? He never came. That's when I started reaching out. That's when I went around his grandmother's house. She was like, that boy been left, right? I ain't seen him. Maybe probably a little while later, maybe over a month or something like that. I see him right where I saw him at when he said somebody was trying to kill him. And I pull up on him, and he look at my car, and he like, how many you want? Thinking I'm a junkie trying to buy some drugs, right? I know I look rough when I be hooping, but damn, like, you know what I'm saying? He like, how many you want? So I'm like, yo, what's up? And he like, oh, Watkins, what's up, man? What's up? Right? And yo, I'm gonna go get that job, yo. I know they was waiting for me, yo. I'm gonna go start that class. I'm like, yo, cuz school started a long time ago.
Right.
And that job is gone. Somebody came and got that. You know what I mean? And then I pulled off, and then I spent the block, and I came back, and I told him, yo, you need me, holler at me, because I could be frustrated. At the time, I ain't had no money and time to be wasting and spending all this time trying to get this ID and get you in college. You got a laptop. You probably didn't take it out the box or sold it. You know what I'm saying? But I can't drag you. I don't know what you've been going through. I don't know what you went through. I don't know what happened. I don't know what you need. All I know is that I did my best at what I was supposed to do, and I did something. And you know what else? The big thing about it is the people who saw me looking out for that kid, they see how easy it is and it can be done. Them ladies saw me showing love, so they showed love. That dude at that restaurant probably ended up showing love to somebody else, because you see, it's just that simple. It's that simple. We look at changes like, oh, I got a million people. I already bet what's going to happen when you wake up the next day. All right, we did a sit-in for 20 days and they decided to stop Johns Hopkins University from having a police force. Like, what's next? You know what I'm saying? So, what are we gonna, what's next? You can do something. Like, every little bit counts. Anything cliche, Rome wasn't built in a day. We got to chip away at it. You can do something. We all have the power to do something if we want to. Yeah. I know you probably go to colleges and people, they be at Harvard and Columbia talking about how can I help, and you be like, how'd you get into Harvard, dog? Like, how'd you get into Columbia? How'd you get? These are good schools. These are great schools. Like, you're smart. It's something between your ears. Use it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Brother, right here.
Yeah. Now, by any chance, the young man that you was trying to help out, did he ever specifically say why he did not follow through on what like why did he not follow through with going to school, or why did he not, take that job that you helped get him? Did he ever state, or?
I have no. I mean, he was when I pulled up on him. He looked like he might have taken something. I never got like a clear, concrete reason, and I also, I didn't hear from him. I didn't see him.
But I do want to add something on that. I remember my former pastor at my church. Yeah, by the way, he was from Baltimore. He's originally from Baltimore, Maryland. And well, he lived in Delaware now, but I think he said it was some young man. He had told him that he had a job interview or something. Mm-hmm. So the pastor had said to him, "Oh well, praise God." And he said, "Well, look, I'm gonna drive you to that interview." So he drove him to the interview. And then I think the pastor said he went on coming to the church to work in the office that day, just like during the week. So then he said he comes back and he sees the guy, the young man sitting on the steps of his house. So he asked him, well, what happened? Did you get the job? So he had said that yes, he was offered the job, but he said that, well, yeah, but they only wanted to pay me $10 an hour, and he wanted more money. Mm. But my former pastor said he didn't think of it at the time, but he said what he forgot to tell the young man was that he was actually making that himself, to take care of his family, back in the early 70s, when working at Bethlehem Skin in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah.
And because I know you mentioned something about instant gratification.
Mm-hmm. So there's two pieces to that I think because I hear a really great question in there, and I think there's two pieces to it. One is the question of instant gratification. The second piece is if we want to get kids off the street or keep people out of trouble or prevent recidivism, we have to give people legitimate economic opportunity. In other words, if I can make $10 an hour selling dope, it's gonna be hard to go work at Walmart for $8 an hour. Right. And these are legitimate challenges that we face, because I think that's what you're getting at, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you speak to that?
about it is that most people who sell drugs don't make any money. So that's why when that argument comes up, it frustrates me. Like, it's a couple people that be doing their thing, don't get me wrong, but like, that's not the normal story. It's kind of like rap. It's a couple rappers is really paid, but a lot of rappers like only $20. So what I'm saying is like, so
I'm using that.
So I talk about so I wrote another book called The Cook Up, right? And the Cook Up is about the other side of that. It's about the other side of it, and the strategic part of that is like, yo, you know, if you gonna look up to some of these rappers, if you're looking up to like your Rick Rosses and your Jay-Z's and people that rap about that stuff, then you should be looking up to them because those dudes are artists who built tremendous infrastructure as artists. They're like I don't think them dudes was have Ferraris and stuff when they did whatever street stuff they talk about. That stuff came from being an artist. That stuff came from being smart and doing the right things and learning, give value as an artist, and then the marketing and promotion of that. And that's the prize. That's the goal. This is why we hold them up there like that. You know what I mean? It's the same way if you like a movie. You don't think the movie is what's really happening. You like the art of it. So it's the drug narrative is a false narrative. I was on, so this, like when they used to have Al Jazeera in the States, I was on Al Jazeera, and it's crazy because I had just got a job teaching at the University of Baltimore, and it was the dude who was from Baltimore was like the host. And there was a guy who taught, I teach creative writing. This guy teaches criminal justice, right? It's like a middle-aged white dude. He teaches criminal justice at the University of Baltimore. And I was in Arkansas at this Little Rock non-conference thing, right? And they called me up and was like, yo, want you to come on the show? And I was like, yo, I don't know how to get to a studio. I'm in Arkansas. And they was like, yo, they got studios in Arkansas. And I'm like, oh, bet, right? So they took me to the studio. They took me to the studio in Arkansas. So, and I started to say this. I said, and look, this is a narrative to my brother right here. This is a narrative that they put out. This is what they put out. This dude, a middle-aged white dude, probably got some type of background in policing or something. That's how you teach criminal justice. Sat on TV in 2000, and I know it's on my Instagram if I scroll back. In 2015 or 2016, it said the problem with these inner cities in America is that these kids in these neighborhoods, they don't want the $60,000, $70,000 factory jobs. They want to make $250,000 a month selling crack. I'm like, who's selling $250 worth of crack? Right. A, B, where's the $70,000 factory job? Right. Like, what they building, typewriters? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. But he's on television. Right. When people listen to people on TV, TV is powerful. If you put something in a book or if you put it on that tube, people pay attention to it. So people like this guy, and I don't know how he ended up being on the show, but I don't know. Say shit like that. Yeah, exactly. And he said it in a way that was real snarky, like they don't want the. And I'm like, with his head on tilted, like they don't want that. And I'm like, yo, like where do you get this information from? And why do you feel so comfortable saying it? And it's not true. And it's like and that so that's part of the problem. So as I consider myself to be like a big brother, like a homie, a friend, a mentor. So I'm gonna tell you, like, yo, you selling drugs, like I've been through that. You either gonna end up here or here. Why am I alive? Luck. I'm not smart, I'm not slick, I'm not cool. I haven't figured the game out. Luck. Cause if I would have went left that way, I would have got my head knocked off. If I would have stayed out a little bit longer that night, I would have got 100 years. If one of my best friends ran his mouth, I would be gone. You know what I'm saying? So luck, I'm just lucky. Like my name should be Lucky. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna sit here and tell you like, yeah, shorty, back in the day, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. No, I'm not gonna say. I'm gonna say, yo, back in the day, I was confused and lost and subscribed to an illusion. And now I see what it did to me, what it's doing to us, what it could potentially do to you. So no, that's it's not true.
How did you know you were a writer?
I always loved storytelling. Like a lot. Like when I was a kid, I used to be scared to fall asleep because I thought I would miss like something that somebody was gonna say. Dudes in my neighborhood would make a trip from like the front porch to the corner store, seeing like the most glamorous thing in the world. And I honestly think that some of the people I came up with probably would be way better writers than me because they just better storytellers. And I got into it. Y'all got agree so quick. Yeah, you ain't shit. But I know, like, so for me, when the first book that really did it for me was The Coldest Winter Ever. When I read that book, it's like, I didn't know, in school we got books like Huckleberry Finn, so nobody read them. And, we got, y'all gonna love this. They thought they was doing something real progressive. They gave us Ben Carson's A Gift in Hand. And like, nobody read it though. Nobody read it. Like, I've never seen a book that had so much weed broke up on it. But seriously. But when I got out of school, when I was like in my 20s, and I was given that book, I read it and I read it quick, and I didn't know you can write like that. And I'm thinking, wow, if you would have gave me books like this and Nathan McCall's Make Me Want to Holler and some of those things that were a little bit more contemporary back when I was in high school, my whole life would have been different. But luckily I got them before it was too late. And then when I started reading that stuff, I was like, okay, wow, so who else write like this? Okay, who's this guy Richard Price? And I read Clockers, and then, he was inspired by, On the Road and Naked Lunch. Let me see what the people was talking about. I'm like, they like Theodore Dostoevsky back. Let me read The Idiot. And I'm just like, I'm gone. Like, and then I'm reading articles, and that's when it really clicked. The articles from my local newspaper told me that there were people who had the luxury of telling stories about people who look like us, but they're not even going to take a walk down the block. They don't even think enough of you to even say, hey, what's up? How you doing? And I felt like, I wanted to be a person from the inside yelling out, and I started there, and then, it just, and then I ain't take it like, I was in grad school, I cheated, this was wrong, I was in grad school, I was getting my master's in education, but when I really, 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 got the courage to say I'm a writer, but I enrolled into an MFA program, and you're not supposed to be in 2 graduate programs at the same time, so I don't know, it's against the law, but I broke it. I don't know what's going on. If they make me do like 3 days because this video, I can do it standing on my head. You know what I'm saying?
We got time for one more question. No, 2 more. I'm sorry, 2 more questions.
My fault. I just want you to defend.
I do the last one.
I'm sorry.
No, you good. Go ahead, brother.
I just want you to defend or refute this statement. All right, you ready?
Uh-huh.
Desegregation was the worst thing that happened to black people.
It's crazy because I was wrapping my head about writing a big article about that. Especially like, I think it was bad. I think a lot of black businesses, and I think Malcolm X is the one that called it like the biggest transfer of economic power in the history of this country. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think it was a lot of rhetoric and words out there that taught us that, I think it might have been, somebody, you ever heard a joke about the white man has colder ice? You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess you already get it. You get the punchline. Why did you buy ice from this guy and say, the white man has colder ice? So, so I think that's like a mentality that, and I know but I don't know. But a lot of us got that growing up. Like, I know all of us had that homeboy that was like, nah, I know it worked like that because my white homeboy said it.
Right.
Who's your white homeboy? You know what I mean? Malcolm Gladwell? Like, you know what I mean? So, but like people, it's an authority that you get when it's coming from a space that's not in your own, because we're taught to dehumanize what we are, what we believe in, our culture, and who we are so much that somebody outside coming with something, it's like, oh my God, that's right. So yeah, I think it was a bad thing especially the conversations we having now about money. You can imagine, there was movie theaters, you know what I'm saying? Like car dealerships, whole neighborhoods. Everybody know what happened with Black Wall Street. Like we saw the potential, and that power has been transferred. But again, like, we know this stuff and we know it, so we have to share it. We have to teach it. We have to incorporate it in what we do in our lives, and we have to live it. And if we do that, then again, we're still establishing and building culture. Like, we're still building it. Right. I think we be hard on ourselves sometimes too, because again, slavery, mass incarceration, Jim Crow, all that stuff. This stuff went on long time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Last question. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep saying last. Every time I say last question, another hand comes. All right, so I'm
gonna be quicker too. I ain't gonna keep saying all on my bad.
You're good. We love hearing you talk, brother. So we got these 2 questions. We're gonna go here and then here. Yeah.
I want to know what keeps you inspired or driven. I'm coming from an era where I came out of college in the mid 90s, where we couldn't wait to leave this and go somewhere else to start all over. And me and my college friends pretty much left Philadelphia, and now I'm back 20 years later. So what keeps you driven? Like, I'm back, I want to do something, I want to actually give back to my community, I'm back here, living here. What keeps you driven so that you don't, because my circle still has that mentality of not like, girl, you made it out of there, why are you coming back? Like, what keeps you driven,
What keeps you driven?
sitting, doing this?
Yeah. Why don't we take these book questions at the same time? I have a feeling they're going to overlap.
Okay.
So you're self-proclaimed lucky. You clearly have a mission to give back. What's next for you? Like how do you take this message and your meaning and purpose to the next level?
I'm gonna drop a mixtape now. I'm just answer this one and then answer this one. So I'm really into messaging, and I think some of these will be good with a television show. So I've been working with a co-writer trying to create a single camera comedy that channels like a lot of these ideas and having like a character who has to have like, I can't even say a double conscious, like maybe quad, like you gotta, you know, we gotta walk a lot of lines, especially when we want to try to make some things happen, and sometimes it's funny, you know what I mean, sometimes it's funny. So I think you know, some of the things that you can't get out in the books and some of the things that you can't get out when you get the opportunities to go on whatever show, you can probably get out, you know, you might can get out through like comedy and fun and to share like those stories, because I'm just real big in trying to make the world smaller and having people see themselves or just see, you know, those elements of love in other people. So I think I want to try to have fun with it and do that. But TV is something that I don't understand. Is, you know, I struggle with like formulas and beats and conformity, but I'm good at learning stuff, so I'm on top of it. And what keeps me driven is I know that it's not just about me. Like, it's not about me. Regardless of whatever success I have or whatever cool fun thing I get to do, it's not me. Like, there's a whole lot of people that I had. Like I said, I've had mentors that that was my mentors before I ever met them. I had people I was looking up to before I never met them, and like their stories, their commentary, their reactions, how they drag, you know, racist people across the camera. You know what I'm saying? Like all of these things are like fuel that I've used to help develop and come into my own, and I have to share these things. I know that without books, I would not be here. I know that if our young people were thinking critically, I know that they would test better, they would have better lives, they would have better living experiences. So, you know, I can't get a book to everybody, but I've helped get thousands and thousands of books to the kids who come directly where I come from. And I've only been doing this for about 4 or 5 years, and I already saw changes in the schools I've been going to. There's a culture. We have a culture of this local writer guy who comes to the school and kicks it with the kids and gives out books and talks trash and has fun and shows that love. You know what I mean? And I haven't been doing it that long, but I'm already helping do that, and it's spinning off into other local writers doing the same thing. Yep. So English is starting to become like a force, you know, and I believe in that. Like I believe in it. Like I know that you're not reading and you're not thinking. I know it's easier for you to get that horrible mortgage, or for that payday loan place to tear your ass apart, or for that car dealer to sell you that 2008 Mercedes for $279,000, even though you think you paid 10 grand for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I know that there's a bunch of predatory people around looking to slap you with that ignorance tax because you don't know, so you gotta pay. That's the special one, and I know that like I have like a partial formula to help with that through reading, through the promotion of critical thinking, through mentorship. And I don't comment myself as an activist. I'm just a person that, not that I love activists. I don't have like a lot of boot cut jeans, and I don't have a lot of boot cut jeans and open toe sandals and cut off dashikis with the sleeves cut off. So I ain't in the park doing pull-ups and running the incense sage circle. But
we got all that next door though. We got to start it, kid. But you have a calling, man, and your call. Everybody has a calling, and I mean calling in the true sense of it, you know, of a vocation. And your calling clearly is as a writer, among many other things, and hopefully soon a TV writer, host, producer, executive, all that stuff for your work. But your calling as a writer is evident, not just in this work, but in the Cook Up and everything you've done. And your love for Black people and your commitment to us comes through in this book, and it comes through tonight. And so we're grateful that you came. We're grateful that you showed love to us.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you, bro. So the book is available. I recommend everybody buy 2 copies. Give one to somebody you care about.